Hello and welcome back to the Talking Journal. I'm your host, Christian. As always, I'm back for another one, except not for last week. Yeah, let's address the elephant in the room. I haven't posted the last 2 Sundays. That is my bad. I know it was literally one of my New Year's resolutions was to consistently post podcast episodes all year, and I had been doing so good until the first one. I did have one filmed, let me just say. I did have one filmed. It was a rough week for me. Yeah, I had one filmed and like my car broke down. I was falling behind in school. I ended up failing algebra 2 for a minute. I got it back up today though. Hey. Um and what else was I gonna say? I don't know. A lot happened that week, and then I didn't like the episode because I was in a fucking bad mood during it. And it was like, why no, we're not I'm not posting that shit. So then I filmed another one that was supposed to go up. Well, actually, I think I filmed that this week. Did I? Let's check. I forgot what day I posted it. Or I didn't post it. What day I filmed it. Yeah, okay. I did film that this week. I filmed it on Monday. It was supposed to go up on Monday. Sorry, the audio just cut out. It was supposed to go up on Monday, and then it didn't go up on Monday. Because, again, I was in a fucking bad mood. And I was like, I can't post this. Like, oh, we need to get back on the grind. So, anyways, I'm back. Hello. I'm in less of a bad mood. Although my monotone voice is not doing it justice. So happy Sunday, everybody. This is up finally. Also happy Valentine's Day. I'm filming this on Saturday. It's Valentine's Day today, and hopefully getting up on Sunday. Let's hope. I was supposed to film this last night. Then I went out last night until midnight, and then when I got home, I was dead. So I didn't end up filming. That is my bad. Again, I think it would have been too insufferable to listen to me like yawn the whole episode. So anyway, hi guys, it's good to be back. And I hope I'm back for good. And also, while I was gone, I just got out of what I think was a talking stage. And I'm not fully sure whether or not it was like actually a talking stage. And that's the problem. Well, I mean, the problem is that it ended, but that's another analysis, all right? The problem, though, is that I'm not fully aware whether it was a talking stage, whether we were going out, but I think it was a talking stage. So when I first started to, like, dive deep into this and analyze it, I thought, let's just start simple and define what is the talking stage. So I just simply looked it up. What is the talking stage? Google defines the talking stage as the early, often undefined, pre-dating phase where two people communicate regularly, usually via text or social media, to gauge romantic interest and compatibility without formal commitment. Now, I think this analyzes it more than like what I would have said. Like it definitely dives deeper. So shout out Google for that. Because when we or I think of the talking stage, I just think of the stage maybe before you start dating, so pre-dating, I guess, as like the modern day going out. Like the modern day going out phase. You know, in all the movies, the 70s, 80s, 90s movies where they're like, yeah, they're going out or whatever. Not going out like I did last night to where I couldn't film. But like going out with somebody, like, oh yeah, we're going out. I don't know. You guys know what I mean though, right? Anyway, it's dating, but not really. That's what I would have described it as. I think it came on because people don't go out as much. Like I think we took on the talking stage, like adopted it, and then because nobody goes out anymore. But they do talk, which is why I find myself using this term because it actually does really make sense. Like, we're texting, calling, sometimes hanging out. But with the other term, like, what other term out there covers all of that in one? I guess you can't say the talking stage really does. I keep wanting to say the talking journal. The talking stage does cover some of it, but not all of it. Like, does it cover the going out or not? You know, it doesn't really cover going out, but it does say talking. And I guess that kind of just is presumed with the whole thing. But I'm not dogging on the term itself. Don't think I'm dogging on the term itself, but rather the people that have adopted it and used it for more than what it is, more than just the standard talking stage. I also do want to say I am filming and I can see myself, right? Um, you can't even see socks, but I had to stop. I started recording and then I had to stop recording because I was so uncomfortable because I didn't have socks on. I was like, this is not okay. And you can't even see them, but I will show you. I have socks on right now. So if you're watching the video version, anyway, sorry. But I think in short, the talking stage is acceptable in my opinion. Like, I'm not dogging on the talking stage entirely. I'm definitely dogging on part of it, but I think it's acceptable and even necessary to when you first like start romantically pursuing a partner or are interested in someone because I said in the beginning or like it said in the Google definition, it is the pre-dating stage in a way, where two people regularly communicate to gauge romantic interest without full dating or are the term exclusive. And I think in similar, like I said, the going out phase. I think it's important to have that stage where you get to meet them for a bit and before you start actually dating so you can gauge if they're actually someone worth pursuing further and potentially marrying or having kids with. However, whoa, slow down. Slow down, but I'm just saying like when you're mid 20s, early 30s, like you're looking for a partner, a long-term, well, most people are looking for a long-term partner and are looking for someone potentially to marry and have kids with. So I think that it is crucial to have that pre stage before you guys start really going out and becoming exclusive, I guess. I don't want to say like marriage because I think before all of this happened, there was a going out, but before that, it was just yeah, we're dating, and then the long term was you're marrying them. The dating was the trial, and in a way, I think we're just getting more and more like scared in a way or fearful, I guess, to really like commit and lock in with somebody. Um, I just realized I dropped a lock, like I just dropped a buzz term on you, locked in. But yeah, I think as time goes on and as we evolve as humans, it's getting harder and harder and harder for us to commit to somebody. And that goes beyond just human nature, rather the connection with people, because I think that, sorry, I'm just saying a bunch of words at this point. No, but I think that we through more experiences with other people and it doesn't come innate. We have the innate desire to pursue with other people, to connect with other people, and to have a long-term partner is beautiful and great. However, I think more people are getting hurt by it, and then the more we want to retract and be like, actually, you know what? We need to do this first before I seriously commit to you and before you commit to me, you know? However, it is not all fine and dandy, as with all things in life. I do think there's also problems with the talking stage. I think that it's just kind of an excuse to not commit. However, I say this with love because I get it. A lot of people have commitment issues. I have commitment issues. And I think a lot of it is you just don't want to commit. You're too scared, or I would be too scared, not just you, sorry. But like it actually literally said that in the definition. What did it say? Let me scroll up. Hold on. Yeah. Where two people communicate regularly, usually via text or social media, to gauge romantic interest and compatibility without formal commitment. So that's a problem. That is a problem. And as someone who, like I said, also has major problems with committing too, but committing mostly and hasn't like, I don't think I've wanted to settle down yet. By the way, I turn 17 next month. So let's slow our roll here. But I'm just saying, I think I haven't felt the desire to really settle down. And I also think part of that is because I see so many people in high school doing this, like this talking stage, and I've had a few, but I see so many people like casually dating, like hooking up, and then it leads to like longer term, not pregnancy, but I'm just saying like long term relationships. And then they don't actually work out and they're not really good together. I mean, externally, they don't look good together. So I haven't been like I'm not looking for my long-term partner in the high school. All right. There's so many people we're gonna meet and so many people we're gonna be introduced to in our lives that there's no reason to just limit yourself to this one pool of people. If you find a connection and it happens and it's beautiful and it's great, that's awesome. I'm not dissing on that. I'm not dogging on it. I'm just saying I'm not actively looking for it because I see it fail so much and I don't need that. I'm already failing enough. But I think, yeah, it's just an excuse to keep not committing. And if that's the case, then I don't think we should be labeling it as the talking stage because it also has that part where it's pre-dating. Like it can't be pre if you never do. You know what I mean? It's just like this elongated on its own, like it's its own stage. It's not its own stage, it's its own thing. It's you guys were just talking. You can't call it a stage if you never get past the stage, you know what I'm saying? And if you don't want to actually date them, then I think it's just a fucking waste of time on both sides. The person that doesn't want to date or knows that they're not probably going to be good in a relationship, like myself, like I'm like, yeah, I'm probably not going to be good right now because I'm 17, haven't figured it all out yet. I don't think I'm going to be good in a relationship, especially long term. So, and it's unfair to go in a talking stage. And I'm learning this lesson now, like as I get older and talk to more people, that since I don't think I have this stigma of that I'm not going to find my long term wife in the high school I'm at, um, I have a problem with thinking that way and being like, well, this is just kind of casual in a way, like it's not actually long term. But then that goes like, then it's like, when are you going to start taking things seriously? That's kind of where I'm confused right now. I'm still trying to work that out. Yeah, I think it's a waste of time for like if it were for me and for the girl I was talking to, like it's a whole bunch of wasted time. But like I said, recently I was just in what I guess you could call a talking stage, but I don't think you could entirely because we never got to the end stage. Like it was a stage, I guess, but you can't, like, there was no, anyway. Although, like I mentioned, I couldn't really tell if it was or not, and that's the issue. How do you know if you're in a talking stage? I think the term talking stage shouldn't last, not the term. I think talking stage, the talking stage, shouldn't last more than a few months. But when it extends into a couple of years, I do start to wonder why people like would still be in one. It's like that's not a stage at its own point. It goes back to what I said. It's not its own stage, or it's not a stage. It's its own thing. So yeah, like why would you? Anyway, I think I don't understand if people like I don't understand when people are saying like how do you go about the talking stage? I guess is what I'm confused about. Like, do you just be like, "Are we talking?" To me, that's like a little cringe. I don't know if I would say that or not, but I don't think I would. Anyway, I have a problem with the talking stage because every single talking stage I've been in, I just don't want to do it. It like I don't want to do it anymore. Somehow I would lose interest in somebody if we started talking like say I met this girl, we're like, "Oh, okay, let's start talking." Again, how do you go about that? I don't know. Um, then automatically, I'm just already disinterested in wanting to do it because I know what it is. It's not like I lose interest in all. It's because I know what it is. And I guess I don't lose interest right away, but if it is like, what are you doing? What have you eaten today? Where are you going? Like a lot of the same stuff, then I do get annoyed and I lose interest rather like if you had jumped. into dating, maybe it would be different. I don't really know. I don't have it all figured out. I'm not a licensed professional. Um, but then that just proves the point where you're like, okay, then you get to know them, you know? So am I losing interest because I get to know them or because I'm tired of saying, what are you doing? But I think that having a talking stage a lot of the time can get draining because, again, like I said, how many times can you answer what your favorite color is and what you ate for dinner the night before you start to like literally go insane? I'm just saying, I don't, I don't get it. But I also think too that it would be different if people had just had one talking stage, not like in all their life at one moment they had one, in the moment they don't have more than one. Um, in one person they're pursuing because I had this one friend in freshman year and he would be in like a talking stage with like five different girls. And I'm just like, dude, what are you even doing? You have to send like five good morning and good night texts. And it's just like, you would think at one point it would get tiring after a while, but I guess it didn't for him because I still hear stories about how he's doing that. Well, whatever, King, do your own thing. Um, yeah, I just think it would get tiring after a while, but like I said, I think the premise of the talking stage is a good idea, and the people that named it, I guess, labeled it the talking stage, had named it with the best intentions. However, like I said, I think it's just an excuse to talk to a lot of people at one time, which, again, to each their own. King, do what you want. I'm just saying, like, I'm not going to shame you for it until, obviously, like, if it becomes sneaky and lie, what? And like the other person's under a faulty belief that they're talking only to each other, then it gets rocky and like a gray area. Um, but yeah, you guys talk to whoever you want. I'm not gonna say anything. I'm just saying, for me, I don't think I would be talking to more than one person at one time because then it leads to like which one's the better option, and picking options just isn't a good idea. And I think that's gross and fucking so fucked up. But anyways, like I said, I just think that it could hurt somebody's feelings, and but that's exactly the problem. It can't be labeled as cheating though. That's the thing, because you guys aren't actually technically dating. So I think the talking stage is just a bunch of gray areas in a way. It's like a, well, you have to hear the situation, but I don't know. I think it's just a bunch of gray areas and a bunch of like if when, you know? So it though it also comes in the name itself. Like you can say we aren't dating, we're not even going out, we're just talking, right? We're not dating, we're not going out, we're just talking. That has like a casual, common connotation with it. So yeah, we talk to everybody. You know what I mean? Like, oh yeah, I just talked to the barista this morning. So it has that casual undertone where like you don't think it's that big of a deal, but it is. It actually is. It's pre-dating. Well, sometimes it is. Sometimes people just do it for fun, which again is an issue. Um, so then when you're like, yeah, we're just talking. We're not going on dates. We're not dating. We're just talking. We're not even going out. We're just talking. Yeah, we talk to everybody. You know what I mean? So it's normal to talk to everybody. Therefore, the word, it just makes it normal when it actually isn't normal to talk to five people at one time and send five good morning texts. Like that guy in my freshman year. It was crazy how many girls this kid was texting, I swear to God. No, and that's not a dig. I'm just saying why, you know? And maybe you have a void you have to fill somehow with that, but that's his own thing and that's not my business. So, yeah, I think the word itself is a little bit misleading. So that's where I disagree with the word. But I think another part to be brought up in this, and this is something I saw online, was that it's just a way for people to protect their feelings. And this I get. I understand that a lot of people are scared of commitment, scared of getting hurt, and want to be careful of who they actually get involved with. A lot of people are so scared of rejection, but also the talking stage is less effort than dating. Well, that's up for debate, and I will pose a debate in a second. But yeah, I think that people are just really, like I said, as we go on, we really do want to protect our own feelings. You know what I mean? We want to not get hurt, especially if you've had past experiences where you do get hurt. You don't want to get hurt again. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to get involved with someone and then you go into this talking stage to look for these things like a red flag, like that you saw in the last one, without being like dating and then realizing it after, because that can also lead you to be say that you were wrong about somebody. And I think that's another factor is that people want to do this so they aren't totally wrong about somebody. They'll find a trait, but they won't go into dating somebody and be like, I fucking told you. Their friends are like, I fucking told you he was the wrong one. And then you were like, oh shit, yeah, she was the wrong one for me, you know? But I never saw that. So I think the talking stage is also a way for that to come into play. But yeah, like I said, a lot of people are scared of commitment and scared of getting hurt. And yeah, just really want to protect their own feelings now more than ever. You know, nobody wants to get hurt. And especially like there's so many things going on in our world right now that you wouldn't want to add another stress into your life. And I think that can also play into a role that the talking stage is less effort. I saw this online too. However, I don't know if I agree with that one entirely because sometimes I feel like if you're constantly texting, like I feel like that's more effort than just like going on a few dates. You know what I mean? I guess maybe it's not as serious, you're not spending as much money. I don't really know, but I feel like if you're not texting them as much, maybe they'll think you're neglecting the talking stage, the relationship, but also that depends on the person. Like my I personally am okay with not texting as much because I don't always want to text. Sometimes I do, sometimes I actually do, but not all the time. And it gets difficult and very oversaturated, I think. Like going back to the what you doing and what you eat for dinner and what's your brother eating for dinner? Like I don't ugh, um it gets repetitive and it blands out the conversation and eventually the relationship. It blands out the relationship because if you only talk about a few things and you don't have meaningful, deep conversation, then I don't know. I think that's why I don't like them. Um, I did say I hated them, but I don't hate them. I just don't really like them particularly because again, I think it has the potential to dull out a relationship that could have been beautiful. It could have been a gorgeous relationship. But since the conversation was so limited via social media or text, it doesn't really have the potential to blossom in a way. Not maybe it does. It does. I've seen people do it and I've seen it work. However, you don't really get that over text and you can misconstrue what they're saying, how they're saying it, the tone of it. So you know, it could, but it couldn't also. And I think that you really definitely get a gauge of someone's personality in person too. But also, there's some things that you just can't do. Like, this is why I don't think the talking stage is great either, because there's some things where you won't find out until you take that commitment step. You know what I mean? So you can't say, oh, I'm just trying to protect my feelings. Yes, but you also, and just trying to be careful who I get involved with, yes, I get that. I totally understand that and I agree with you. But there's some things like you won't know until you move in with a person, until you see what happens in a specific scenario, how you see how they interact with customer service workers. You don't know. You know what I mean? You don't know what type of person this is until you have different situations and scenarios or live with them or see how they interact with their family. And not that interacting with their family tells all about them and what kind of person they are, if they're good or a bad person. But I think that it definitely tells you something. And I don't know. I don't think you would know that unless you take that step. But as a pre step, I think it's great. However, if you're using it to just talk to a bunch of people at one time and to just get out of saying that you're like a cheater, I don't think it's good. And I don't just definitely no. I don't think it's good at all. But excuse me, the premise of it is good. And I do agree with some of the stuff on here. Like I said, like seeing how someone is before you get involved with them. But yeah, you don't know someone until you like really not live with them necessarily, but you hang out with them, hang out with their friends. There's a lot of dynamics and things that you don't know about a person until you find them in scenarios that you can't get really over text. I mean, I guess you could, but there's also, like I said, the tone of texting is off sometimes, and it's just a big thing. But yeah, I think there is a lot of gray areas with the talking stage, and there's a lot of room for misinterpretation and also confusion. Like, you don't know what someone means by a text, or you don't know like what you guys are technically. Like, can you go on other dates? And unless you lay out those boundaries specifically and are like, hey, lol, I'm going on a date with this person, and we can still date other people, but we're talking. I don't get it. So, unless you lay out the like rules, the fucking boundaries and stuff about this, you won't know. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I just think there's a lot of room for misinterpretation and mis like misread signs. Like there's I don't for the most part, I think it's not. I think it was a good thing at first, and I've said this the whole episode, and it's getting tired of me saying this, but I think the premise of it is a good idea. However, like I said, there's some things you just won't know until like later, and you find them out. Um, and I totally lost my train of thought just then. But I think the way people have adopted it now, and that it's just kind of an excuse to like date around. No, I don't know. I don't know. But then it's like, why? You know, why are you spending your time on doing that? Just go casually hook up with people. You know, people do that all the time. But why get involved with someone and then talk for a little bit and then just not talk to them? I don't get it. I don't get it, and I'm still trying to learn that because I've done it too, where I like have started texting people and then I'm like, actually, I'm not really interested, you know? So I don't know, but I guess I see that where it's like you're dating and then you're like girlfriend, boyfriend, and then you guys end up not working out and it's like this big breakup. But if you're just in the talking stage, like that's not that big of a deal if you guys break up, you know what I'm saying? So that's where I'm at with that. And I don't know. I think we're all trying to figure it out and we should all go easy on each other. But I don't like the way people have adopted it really. That's just my opinion. Again, like I said, do what you fucking want, okay? Do what you want. Don't let me dictate what you do ever. But I'm just saying that's not what I'm in it for and what I don't think other people should be in it for. But again, to each their own. Other people's business is none of mine. So, yeah, I think that's all I have for you. It was kind of like a little rant episode, but that's okay. Sometimes we need those. And I'm just glad to be back. I'm sorry I didn't post for the past 2 Sundays. Like I am. I actually am really sorry. Okay, forgive me on that one. I will try and be back on Sunday. Actually, I will because I already know what I'm filming. So I will see you next Sunday. I promise. And if you don't, then you can definitely unsubscribe. I totally give you permission to do that. And be mad at me. Okay? And if you think I missed something in this episode or disagreed with something I said or wanted to add to the conversation, go ahead and leave a comment below. Or you can DM me, you can comment on a different post. You can, yeah, DM the podcast account. That is at the Talking Journal on Instagram and TikTok. You can find journal prompts on there, and you can find video episodes that are only on Spotify and YouTube every Sunday, and audio everywhere else. You can find me at Mr. Christian Powell. That's all I have for you. I'm sorry. Again, I'm sorry for not posting. Like that was actually so fucked up. But we're gonna try and not do that this time. Okay? It was just a rough couple of weeks. We all have those, okay? We all have those, and if you didn't have those, good for you. Okay? It's always a pleasure talking to you. I hope you enjoyed. Again, new episodes every Sunday, hopefully. Hopefully. Journal prompts on TikTok and Instagram too. Did I say that already? I don't know if I did, but that's questions previewing episodes, so you can go answer and give me your thoughts and opinions before the episode premieres. Um, yeah, that's all I have. I love you guys. Goodbye. Goodbye. See you next Sunday, hopefully. If I post. No, I'm kidding. I will. Okay, goodbye.